6 running shoe questions, 6 straight answers. Starting right now, spend 80 to 160. Expensive is not automatically faster. Beginners should buy boring. Carbon only pays off if you already run fast. Replace around 500 to 800 kilometers, and 1 pair is enough. 2 if you run 4 times a week. But those 6 answers hide 3 things almost nobody tells you. 1, there is a number that makes a $250 race shoe nearly 7 times more expensive than a $90 trainer, and it is not the price on the box. 2, that famous carbon plate benefit was measured on runners, moving at 4 minutes per kilometer. Run slower than that and it can shrink to nothing. Some runners actually get worse. 3, the tread on the bottom of your shoe tells you nothing about when to replace it. Getting that one wrong is quietly costing people their knees. So the real question underneath all 6 is simple. Are you being sold speed and safety you will never actually use? And how would you even know? Here is how you know. But first, look at the situation you are actually standing in. You walk into a running store. There's a wall of 40 shoes. The cheap ones are $50. The expensive ones are $250. Every single one promises the same 3 things: fewer injuries, more speed, more comfort. Then, the research says something uncomfortable. Every year, somewhere between 1 in 5 and 1 in 2 recreational runners gets hurt badly enough to stop running. So we are paying premium prices for a product that has not solved the main problem. And the real cost is not the $60 you waste. It is buying the wrong shoe, running at 300 kilometers too long, and losing 3 months to a sore knee. Then you blame your body. The actual cause was a purchase you made in 11 minutes, which is exactly why you need one idea before the 6 answers make sense. You're not buying a shoe, you are renting foam. Almost everything you pay for above the cheapest shoe on that wall is midsole. Rubber's cheap, laces are cheap, the upper's cheap. Foam is the expensive part. Foam is also the part that dies. So a running shoe is not like a car. It is like a set of tires. Nobody asks what tires cost. They ask how many kilometers you get out of them. Do exactly that with shoes. Take the price. Divide it by the kilometers you will realistically get. That is cost per kilometer, and it is the only honest price. $90 over 600 kilometers is about 15 cents. A $250 carbon racer, finished after 250 kilometers, is $1. Same sport, same runner, nearly 7 times the cost. Now watch what that one number does to all 6 questions. But start with the one that changes every other answer. Question 1. How much should running shoes cost? Verdict: $80 to $160 or euros. That is the sweet spot for almost every runner. Under about 80, you are usually buying old, cheap foam. Something like the Asics Gel Contend at $70 feels fine in the shop. It is flat by 300 kilometers. $50 over 300 kilometers is 17 cents per kilometer. So the bargain shoe is not even cheaper. It is the same money for less comfort and a shorter life. Between 80 and 160, you get modern foam, a real upper, and 6 to 800 kilometers. That is the Puma Velocity Nitro at 140, the Brooks Ghost at 150, the Asics Nova Blast at 150, the Saucony Ride at 145, the Adidas Evo SL at 150. 130 over 700 kilometers is about 19 cents, and you are far more comfortable for it. Above 160, you are mostly paying for saved grams and race day materials. Those materials are tuned for one fast day, not for longevity. Here's the biggest misunderstanding in this whole category. The price on the box is fiction. It is a starting position, not a value. Brands run a yearly model cycle. When version 13 lands, version 12 drops 30 to 40%. The difference is usually a new mesh and a new color. So here's the practical move, and it is almost embarrassingly simple. Buy the shoe you liked, one version late. A $160 shoe becomes a $100 shoe. Your cost per kilometer just fell by a third. My conclusion on question 1. For $200, you do not automatically get a better shoe than for $120. You just get a more expensive one. But that raises the obvious follow-up. Question 2. Are expensive running shoes worth it? Verdict: sometimes. For most of your easy running, no. Be fair about what you do get. An expensive shoe genuinely is better at some things. It is lighter. It uses a newer, bouncier foam. It gives back more energy per step. It often has a carbon plate and better materials in the upper. You can measure all of that in a lab. It is real. Now what you usually do not get. You do not automatically get more comfort. You do not get fewer injuries. And you definitely do not get a longer life. The Nike Alphafly at $285 is a spectacular shoe. It gives you nothing on a comfortable 40-minute jog that the Ghost at 150 does not. That is race car tires for the drive to the supermarket. Here's the part that surprises people. The premium shoe can be worse for you. The softest, bounciest race foams are the least durable materials in the building. They're engineered to be brilliant for 2 or 3 hours on one specific day. Put your everyday kilometers through them, and you burn them out about 3 times faster. So who should actually pay up? If you race and you are chasing a specific time, Yes, buy the fast shoe for race day. If a wider or better shaped upper is the only thing that stops your foot hurting, yes, pay for fit, always. For everyone else, here's my advice. Split by experience. Beginner, buy one comfortable trainer between 100 and 150 and spend the rest on your running. Experienced, one good daily trainer plus one faster shoe you actually earn the use of. My conclusion on question 2. A $250 shoe can be faster. It can also wear out faster. Pay for fit and comfort. Never pay for the story on the box. But here's where the internet gives the worst advice of all. Question 3. What are the best running shoes for beginners? Verdict. There is no single best beginner shoe. There is a best type, a neutral daily trainer, in your real size. That feels good in the store. That is the whole answer, and it is boring on purpose. 4 properties matter. Comfortable, stable, versatile, and not extreme in any direction. Not a stability shoe because a chart said you overpronate. Not a minimalist shoe because a book said we were born to run barefoot. And definitely not a carbon racer. 3 concrete examples you can go and try today. The Asics Nova Blast 6, around 150. Soft, bouncy, forgiving on slow legs. The Brooks Ghost 17, around 150. The safe, boring, never lets you down option. The Puma Velocity Nitro 4, around 140, lighter and more flexible and cheaper than both. Any of those 3 will do the job. So will the Saucony Ride and the Nike Pegasus. Here's the nuance that surprises people every time. Large studies, including military ones with thousands of recruits, tried assigning shoes by foot shape. It did not reduce injuries. That arch chart in the shop is not predicting your future. What does seem to matter is much simpler: comfort. When researchers let people pick the shoe that simply felt most comfortable, that group tended to get hurt less. So use your own feet as the instrument. Here's how to test a shoe in the store. Go in the afternoon when your feet are at their biggest. Keep a thumb of room in front of your longest toe. The heel should not slip. The widest part of your foot should sit at the widest part of the shoe and actually run in them. 5 minutes on the treadmill, not 2 steps in front of a mirror. If something pinches or rubs in the shop, it will not break in. It will break you. Around kilometer 8, my conclusion on question 3. The best beginner shoe is not the most popular shoe. It is the shoe you completely forget about while you are running. But here's the question everybody actually came for. Question 4. Do carbon plate shoes make you faster? Verdict, yes. For a lot of runners, they genuinely help. 2 to 4% better running economy? That number is real, not marketing. Here's why it works, in plain language. 3 things happen at once. A very efficient foam that gives back more of the energy you put in. A stiff plate through the middle that stops your toes bending and wasting energy. And an aggressive rocker shape that tips you forward into the next step. The shoe only works as a system, all 3 together. Now, the realistic expectation, because this is where the hype dies. Those lab numbers came from trained runners moving at roughly 330 to 430 per kilometer. The plate can only do its job when you land hard and fast enough to compress that foam. Slow the pace down, and the effect fades, and the response is wildly individual. Some runners measure 4%, some measure 1, some get nothing, a few actually get less efficient. Nobody can tell you in advance which of those you are. There's also a bill attached. Very tall, very soft, very stiff shoes shift load onto your calf and your foot. Plenty of runners jumped straight into plates and walked out with a sore calf and an angry Achilles. Not everyone runs stably on a stack that tall. If you feel wobbly, that shoe is not for you. And remember, training, fitness, and pacing still matter far more than the shoe. So here's the practical advice. Earn the plate. If you are racing a 5K, a 10K, a half, or a marathon, and chasing a time, race shoes are worth it. The Nike Vaporfly 4 at 260, the Adidas Adios Pro at 250, the Asics Metaspeed at 250. Those are the real deal on race day. If you are running easy most of the week, buy a super trainer instead. The Adidas Evo SL at 150, the Saucony Endorphin Speed at 180, the Puma Deviate Nitro at 160. Same modern foam, no aggressive plate, half the price, and they survive 3 times as long. My conclusion on question 4, carbon does not make a slow runner fast, but it can give a well-trained runner free seconds. First, improve your training, then buy the last 1%. But this next one costs people more money than all the rest combined. Question 5, how often should you replace running shoes? Verdict, 500 to 800 kilometers for a daily trainer. That is 300 to 500 miles. But treat it as a reminder, not a rule. Because kilometers are not the only measure. And here is what almost everyone gets wrong. You are inspecting the wrong end of the shoe. The rubber on the bottom can look almost new, while the foam above it is completely finished. Foam does not wear away. Foam compresses. Thousands of impacts squeeze the air out of it, and it stops handing energy back. So a worn upper does not mean the cushioning is gone. An intact tread does not mean it is fine. The tread tells you nothing. Your body tells you everything. 4 signals to trust. 1. The shoe feels dead and flat, like running on a plank. 2. New aches show up in your shins, knees, or feet on easy runs that used to feel fine. 3. The sole is worn down unevenly on one side. 4. The shoe feels unstable, like your foot is tipping over the edge. If 2 of those are true, that shoe is done, whatever the odometer says. Some shoes die earlier and some die later, and it is not random. Heavier runners, harder surfaces, and softer premium foams all shorten the life. Race foam plays by completely different rules. Treat a carbon racer as 200 to 300 kilometers and spend it only on days that count. So here's how to track it without thinking about it. Add the shoe in Strava or Garmin as gear, and it counts your kilometers automatically. And write the start date inside the tongue with a pen. That costs nothing, and it never lies. My conclusion on question 5. Do not replace shoes because an app said so. Replace them when performance, comfort, and wear start changing together. But that leads straight to the last one. Question 6. How many pairs of running shoes do you really need? Verdict: 1. One good pair, worn for everything, is completely enough to start. If you run 2 or 3 times a week, 1 pair is not a compromise. It is correct. Anyone telling a new runner they need 4 shoes is selling shoes. 2 pairs starts making sense at 4 runs a week or more. 3 reasons, and the third one is the interesting one. 1. Foam needs around 24 hours to spring back after a run. A soaked shoe needs longer. A second pair means you never start in yesterday's swamp. 2. 2 pairs last longer than 1 because each pair gets rest days between hits. 3. One study followed about 260 runners for 5 months. The runners who rotated between multiple pairs had roughly a third lower injury risk. The likely reason is simply variety. Different shoes load your legs slightly differently, so no single tendon takes the identical hit every run. So here is the simple split, and you pick based on how often you run. 2 or 3 runs a week. 1 daily trainer, something like the Ghost or the Nova Blast. 4 or more runs a week. That daily trainer, plus 1 faster shoe for tempo days and races. Something like the Endorphin Speed or the Evo SL. Racing seriously, add a carbon racer and only wear it on race day. And make the second pair genuinely different from the first. Not the same shoe twice in another color. Let me be honest about the thing nobody in this industry will say. 5 pairs is not a necessity. It is a hobby. My conclusion on question 6. You do not need a shoe rotation to be a good runner, but it can make your training more practical and a lot more fun. And that is when it all collapses into one thing. Those 6 answers were really one answer wearing 6 hats. 80 to 160. Expensive only when you will genuinely use what you paid for. Neutral and comfortable to start. Carbon when you race, not when you jog. Replace on feel, somewhere around 5 to 800 kilometers. 1 pair, and a second once you run 4 times a week. Every one of those falls out of the same idea. You are renting foam. So cost per kilometer is the number that matters, never the number on the box. And look at what that actually buys you. Do it this way, and a full year of running costs you roughly $200 in shoes. Shoes that fit, legs that hold up. Do it the other way. Chase the $250 shoe with the plate you cannot use, and you pay more. Replace sooner and stand a real chance of buying yourself an injury. Same sport, same runner, same body. The only difference is one purchase made with a calculator instead of an advertisement. And that wall of 40 shoes we started with, it was never 40 choices. It is 3. How much foam? How long does it live? And does it feel good on your foot right now? But if this saved you one bad purchase, that is exactly what this channel exists for. I tell you which shoe is actually worth your money, not which one has the biggest ad budget. Subscribe, and you can stop guessing in shoe shops for good. And tell me in the comments which of the 6 you disagree with. I read them.